Hello friends. Today is my 17th presentation on the interesting subject of developing a competency matrix for enhancing the role of architects in the real estate and hospitality industry. What I'm going to cover in this presentation is number one, the purpose of developing competency matrix, different types of competencies for architects, five have been identified, and then identification of 36 competencies within these five types of competencies, what is the way forward, and future references. The purpose of developing competency matrix is number one, to enable the hiring of the right candidates for architects through objectivity in the entire recruitment process, which includes making the profile, floating advertisement, and the interview process. Uh, Number two is facilitating the identifying and placing the right skilled architects in the projects for specific design packages like building structure, building architecture, facade, landscape, external development, etc. Because each type of design package requires different kind of technical skills. Enhancing the fairness in the performance evaluation process is the third competences which is required so as to make it objective. Transparency and thus easier identification of the training and skill requirements once these competences are very well clear, and contribute to the enhancing design excellence and hence the organization overall performance using this skilled architects. Now, what are different five types of different competencies which have been identified? Number one is technical competency. Number two is commercial competency. Number three is IT software competency. Four is the legal competency, and fifth one is the leadership competency. Now, the technical competence. I'll take up first technical competences. Out of this 36, 12 technical competencies were identified as below. Number one, the architects must possess the basic knowledge for the features of the building architecture, must have the requisite knowledge of the best design practices, the processes for different types of buildings which are required, design processes, crucial knowledge of the developing the coordinated and architectural drawings, designs, working knowledge of the construction methods of the building components, in-depth knowledge of the BOQ materials for different kind of packages, and basic knowledge of the modern designing methods. Continued, must have one of the important competencies, eighth competencies, having vital knowledge of the quality aspects of the building designs, basic knowledge of the construction methods, basic knowledge for the inspection methods, for the not only for the BOQ but also for the entire building, core knowledge of quality standards applicable for the architectural works, and necessary knowledge of measuring instruments. Now, further details of each of these 12 competencies are captured in my handbook, and certainly more competencies can be added by the chief architects in consultation with the human resource management team and with the project heads. Commercial competences. Five competences have been identified to be which must be possessed by the architects, competent architects. Number one is the negotiation skills for fees and sample procurement, because at times this outsourcing is done and architects are supposed to be negotiating these fees and of course procuring samples. Number two is the cost estimation skills. Number three is the developing of the budgeting parameters for the architecture function, ability to generate the reports and MIS from the software and the ERP, and evolving coding schemes for the BOQ, because there are hundreds and thousands of BOQs which are there, and they need to develop different kind of unique coding schemes for these BOQs and of course for the buildings. Now, further details of each of these five competencies are captured in my handbook, and chief architect can certainly add more competencies in consultation with the human resource management team and the project head. Now, third set of these competencies are IT software related competencies for architects. Five competencies have been identified which are unique. Number one is the working knowledge of the various software for design of architecture. For example, knowledge of the ETAB, STAD, AutoCAD, Revit, architecture, etc. Basic knowledge of the ERP solution besides this MS Office. Ability to conceptualize and develop the architect function related master data tables and configuration tables. Ability to conceptualize and provide the architecture related meaningful inputs to the IT and ERP and software teams, for example design, document management system, development of the KPI, etc, etc. And ability to generate important reports from the database, data tables and software and ERP. Further details of these five competencies are captured in my handbook, and chief architect and can add more competencies in connection with the human resource management team and the project head. Legal aspects related competencies for the architects. Four legal competencies aspects related to the competence have been identified as below. One is having deep knowledge of the technical aspects which have the relevant laws applicable to the building architecture. For example, Real Estate Regulation Act, National Building Code, etc., etc., in the context of the Indian environments. Intense knowledge of the local regulation related to the architecture development, for example, urban planning and green building, etc. Familiarity with the relevant national and international standards for the quality related to the BOQ and the buildings, BOQ components of the buildings, and essential knowledge of the standards related to the health and safety vis-a-vis the architecture. Further details of these four legal competencies are captured in my handbook, and certainly here also more competencies can be added by the chief architects in consultation with the human resource management team and the project head. Finally, the fifth competency relates to the leadership related competencies, which is applicable to in fact to all the functions. Now these are 10 are: number one, having a ethical frame of mind, the team management abilities, team development and training abilities, empowerment set of mind, empowerment type of mind, alignment with the organization objectives, quality of the work, efficiency and effectiveness, analytical, change management, and benchmarking with the competitors, design features of the various packages and the buildings. Now these are the leadership attributes which must be present in a competent architect. Now these 10 competencies are kept in my handbook, and more competencies can be added by the chief architect consultation of the human resource management team and the certainly the project head. Way forward, architects and therefore need to do the following vis-a-vis the architect's competencies listed here: continuous enhancement of these 36 skills which I have mentioned above in the competencies through training and development process, outsourcing of the architectural designs to competent design firms in case the in-house competencies are not available or resources are inadequate, finding and implementing the best design practices by engaging the competent architects and thus accomplishing the following: number one, design excellence; number two, supporting improved quality of the construction. uh, Continuing developing the obvious architecture, way forward continues. Hiring and highly engaging highly competent competence can contribute significantly to the developing of the robust architecture, accelerating the design efficiency and the design effectiveness, complying with the statutory requirements, increasing the sales revenue, improving the end customer satisfaction. Developing and implementing effective performance management systems for designs based on the well-defined KPIs, that is key performance indicators. These are the advantages of having the competent architects, hiring and engaging competent architects. Now you can refer to chapter 1 in my handbook for more details on these aspects covered in my presentation. My book is titled Ethics in the Real Estate and Hospitality Industry, Volume 1, and there is a blog which is there, which is I have listed here, and in fact this includes the competencies not only for the architects but also interior designers and MEP. These separate competencies have been identified, and of course you can go through my Facebook and LinkedIn references which are given, and book is available in the Kindle format or paperback edition at Amazon or Amazon.in or Amazon.com. Thank you.